Here's a good question. So what are typical or reasonable seller financing terms? So you'll see everything. So there's no requirement as to what those look like if you're not going through a bank. What I will say is if you're using a bank and using seller financing, sometimes the bank will dictate what those seller financing terms look like, and they'll want it to be similar, or there are certain requirements. They may require that there's no payment to the seller on the seller financing for the first 2 years. So a 2-year standby period. There's things like that the bank may require. But if you're not using a bank, if you're just doing something like seller financing and cash, or seller financing and assumable truck debt, that's completely up to negotiation. So I would say the average seller financing is something like a 5-year term, but there may be a balloon payment after 3 years, or maybe it's a 10-year term with a balloon payment after 3 years. And so it's structured as if it's a longer loan, but after a few years, there's a full payment. Reason you do it that way, if it's structured as a longer term, then it makes the payments easier each month. And then a balloon payment after about 3 years, one, that gets you out of the loan and the interest rate. But also after a few years, if you wanted to, you could refinance the whole thing into your own loan through something like the SBA or conventional. Once you've owned the business for a few years, it's a lot easier to do that. The other thing, I've seen seller financing that are 12 months with no interest. I've seen seller financing that's 10-year with similar interest rates to what a bank offers. So it's really up to what you can work out with the seller. And there's all kinds of reasons why they would want a longer term too. Of course, it's beneficial to you as a buyer, so that's helpful for them. They want your life to be easier so that you can keep paying them. But the other thing is, for a seller, if they spread the payments out over a longer period of time, that also spreads out their capital gains tax. So it's good for them as well. So there's reasons for both sides to be doing seller financing.